Hey everybody, good Monday morning. It has been a Monday morning for me. I'm sure for Fern and Russell, man. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you your photos. Let's just see how this goes. But you guys are listening to Author Talk with me, Amy, Fern, and Russell. It is just us today. I find it so refreshing sometimes for it just to be us and, just hang out and catch up. I love to just hang out and catch up with you guys. So my weekend was it was different, to say. It's a difficult time for me and Josh's family. We have lost someone really close to us due to cardiac arrest. So, we're getting through that as best as all of us can. So it's not, I wish I had puppies and rainbows, but y'all know I brought happiness in puppies and rainbows because that's what I'm good at. So that's currently kind of what we're doing, and explaining all of that to my kids has been quite a challenge. So it's a hot mess of a time, you guys. Okay, Josh has gone on a work trip, so I'm gonna hustle it with my kids. I have a Monday night Through the Eyes of Authors tonight, which I am trying to pull together and see how all of that goes. So, this time, you guys, I haven't had something crazy happen in a long time. So, it's just, and so we're processing it and doing the best that we can. It's a difficult time. So if I'm not super puppies and rainbows, as I usually am, that would be why. But I can bring laughter. Y'all know me. I can do that. I got that in my sleep. So that's, I wish I had more of an upbeat weekend. I didn't. I was up way past my bedtime, you guys. I was up till, driving till almost 2 a.m. So it was y'all know me. I go to bed at like 9, 10 o'clock. That's my thing. Okay. So fun times, but I hope all of you guys had fun. Russell, I know that you've had some crazy photos and gussied up photos, and so I'm gonna work to show those as you're talking, okay? As you're talking about your weekend. But what all did you guys do this weekend?
Bert, you want to go first?
I can. So I had a fantastic weekend because we went to the Steampunk convention in Galveston and got to sell some books and got to dress up. And we moderated all the panels down there and got to meet some amazing authors and talk about steampunk as a genre and writing in general as well. So we had a really good time. And this was the first year for this convention. Johnny Steverson put it together and he did a fantastic job. I mean, we were packed. We had like a ton of people that came out in the coolest costumes and stuff. So I'm looking forward to next year. I think he said next year is going to be April 6th. So you guys, if you love steampunk, you guys need to put this on your calendar and save the date. I know it's like a whole year away, but man, it was fun. And I got to meet this one guy dressed in a really cool steampunk outfit, and it reminded me of like the vampire Lestat. Like I was like, are you cosplaying that or what? But no, he wasn't cosplaying that. He was cosplaying another character that I did not know. And I did not admit to not knowing it.
That's when you fake it till you make it,
I totally faked it. But it was fun. This one lady came in a bicycle, dressed all Victorian. She was on a bicycle, and the bicycle had this little basket behind it, and had these little dragon animated little things that were opening their little mouth and moving their little eyes. I mean, it was adorable. I was like, I need that bicycle, except of course I don't know how to ride a bicycle, so it would have been pointless to have that bike. But it was cute. It was too cute. I posted stuff on my wall.
I love it. No, it looked like a fun time, and I know it looked like it was like really well attended and everything. So I was excited to see all of the photos and everything. It looked like a really fun time.
Yeah, I think you would have had fun dressing up. You'll have to come next year with us and dress up.
Yeah, no, I know I'm not going to get, I don't think I'm going to get to any conventions this year, which is crazy. But, you know, hey, things happen
But
for
you
sure.
got yours coming up. You got yours in January, right? Tri-City Comic-Con?
Yeah, no, yeah, that one's in January.
She's not too excited about it, though. Can you hear it?
11th and 12th. I'm
Well,
multitasking, you guys. My damn cat this morning spilled my coffee. Okay, and I just bought my laptop, so I saved my laptop, and then it won't connect to my freaking desktop. So my setup's all done, and y'all know I'm all flustered because my setup ain't the way it usually is, and I'm very anal about certain things. So I'm just flustered. It's not that I'm not excited about it. I just want to skin my cat. I want to just
Wow.
skin my cat.
well, and you are having a rough time right now. So, I mean, yeah.
No,
we
it's
totally
okay.
understand that.
I think it is. Greg's been changing the date on me. I want to say that it's like the 11th, 12th, and the 13th, or the 12th and the 13th. It's somewhere that weekend is when Tri-City Comic-Con is. And I know that we're open for vendor slots. If you're interested in that, I'll put the comment section and everything down below. Speaking of Greg, Mr. Kelso, good morning. Can you put in the chat section when Tri-City Comic-Con is? Because I should know that, and I don't at the moment. But Russell, I saw this amazing photo of you, and I am going to show it, and I want you to tell the story behind it because
Okay, I'll tell you.
I've never
So
seen it.
we spent the week in Savannah this last week. We spent the week before that in Nashville, and I was telling Fern there was a steampunk hotel in Nashville, and I thought that she and author Mac Little that travels with her would love it because they're so steampunk. This was Saturday night. We were at a black tie event in Savannah State University Foundation. It is a traditional or a historical black university in Georgia that was raising money for poor students that couldn't afford to go to college unless they had something like this. And it was an incredible and great gala. They raised about $500,000 for just straight scholarships, 100%. And that was great. But also, and there's the cat again, they had these pins that I thought was the coolest thing in the world. And I can't show it on here, but when you push this button, a light comes out of here. And if you put it on a table, it makes the face of a tiger, which is their whatever. And I thought, oh, number one, wouldn't Fern love to have something like these pins that has a dragon coming out? And then I decided I'm actually going to get some of these pins. I'm going to have my face come out when you push the button. So, because it would be a great joke gift. Hey, I'm going to give you this pin so you can just take my pretty picture anywhere you want to go.
Anywhere we can always just remember what you look like if we just click the pen.
Yes, I think that's a great idea. My wife thought it was a stupid idea.
I can see why. Although, I don't know. I mean, as I was thinking you were going to say something like to promote your book since it's a legal thriller, maybe like, I don't know, a little gavel or,
I like that idea. I like it. I like things like that, though, Russell.
I think it's funny. I think laughing
You're
at
very
me is
similar.
better than being a promoter. I like people laughing at me.
I like it. I think it's a great idea. I don't know why Melinda would not.
And I spent all day Friday running and walking Savannah, whereas like I would the town. I would walk through the stores, and they had these every 3 blocks in Savannah. They had this big square park, and I would stop there and have a cigar in the park. And I got to meet a bunch of the reputationally crazy locals of Savannah and talk to them. You know how shy I am. And
yeah, not at all.
And also, I would sit there and have a cigar with them. And one of the tourists came up, this lady, and took a picture of me. And I assumed because she thought I was one of the crazy locals. And I thought, what a compliment. I'm a
That is
crazy
a
local
compliment.
Savannah. I want to be a crazy local Savannah. And I guess
I
we've
love
lost
that.
Amy right now, so she won't be able to show the pictures for her. But I
In a
came
little bit.
across this old lady's bookstore or something. She has a picture of it. I don't think we're going to get to show it. It was one of those, the kind that you're always looking for. You know, they're way too cluttered and they have way too many books and it has a lot of character and personality and a fireplace and places like that you can hang out in the bookstore and sit on a couch and look at the books. It was beautiful. And we have some pictures of those, but it doesn't look like we're going to get to that either.
No, but I saw them because he texted them and they look nice. And Savannah is so beautiful. It is such a beautiful city. I mean, and there's a lot of history.
I'm back, you guys. Oh my gosh. Talk about a freaking
Are
Monday.
you okay?
I'm back. Russell, no, I have your photos. I don't have the bookstore photo, but I was trying to share it and that stuff went haywire. I have the Blues Bourbon Street, but didn't you have lunch with Bob May?
Oh, thank you for bringing that up because I'm a little slow. While I was hanging out in Nashville, that's where Bob May, that has been on our show. He's always contributing in comments. And so I called Bob and said, hey, let's have lunch before. So we went down to Franklin, Tennessee, which is apparently a famous place. I didn't know it historically. And we had lunch and spent an hour talking, and it was great. It's always great. People that we see on the show or something, when I can go to a town, when I can actually visit with them, I always like to do that.
And that was in Tennessee, though, right? That was not Savannah.
Franklin, Tennessee.
Nice. Did you go visit Elvis's house? Isn't Elvis from Tennessee?
I think that's
Nashville, isn't it?
Nashville? Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that makes sense.
I think that's where his house is. You guys, okay, so now I'm not flustered because everything's working. Everything's working in Amy's world again, okay? I'm not having to multitask. So this weekend, well, one of the things you guys know, or maybe you don't know, I don't know. Oh, Memphis. Oh, well, it was close.
That makes sense. That's true. I should have known that, but I didn't. Sorry, Greg.
We were close. So,
we were in the right state.
Yes, we were. We were close.
We were close.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't listen to myself when, like, I don't rewatch author talks. I don't listen to the audio versions. I don't do any of that. I hate it. I don't know how you guys are. Russell, I know that you watch them.
I listen to them all the time to hear what mistakes I made.
I know. Hi, yay, welcome. So I don't listen to it. I don't listen to any interviews that I do with anybody. If I do an author talk short, if I interview someone for something else, I never listen to those because I always feel like I ask. When I replay it, I'm like, oh, that was such a stupid question. I'm very critical of myself. So I don't listen to them. Well, so we were driving to San Antonio on Saturday and Book Fest was occurring this weekend. And I had the privilege of interviewing New York Times bestseller Tosca Lee. And it was the most nerve-wracking interview I've ever done. I don't really know why, but it just was. And Josh wanted to listen to it. And so we got in this little, heated altercation about how I don't want to listen to myself. And I hate listening to myself. And he won. And we ended up listening to it because we still had like an hour drive and it was 45 minutes. And so I conquered listening to myself. I will never do it again, ever. I will never do it again. But I did listen to that interview. And Russell, man, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you like re-listen. That's the hardest thing. I was so critical of myself. I was like, man.
Exactly. But that's how you get better, Amy. It's like now you know, Amy. Now you know why I have problems with Fern because of her being such a great editor. Because it's the same thing as editing. You now know emotionally how I feel when Fern is throwing papers at me about editing. So
I threw papers at myself. Now, I will say I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. Like I thought it was good. But I'm uber critical on myself because you guys know when I get nervous. On here, I love you guys and I'm comfortable and I can, I can stutter or mess up and it's just like, oh, well, whatever. There's Amy again. You know what I'm saying? But on that one, at the beginning, I stuttered because I was so nervous. And I just was like, oh my gosh. So then I just was like, I'm a bloody fool. Like I just spent the rest of the time. It was,
Well,
it was
and
adventure.
when you, I do have to say that Russell's is onto something, because like I generally speaking do not listen to my own stuff either.
Yeah.
But I have discovered that I do catch myself doing the, those annoying pauses of, and stuff. And since doing that, since starting to listen to it, I have lessened the number of those that sneak in because I'm more aware of them. So there is something to be said for like trying to improve. But the one thing that is hard, and you say this all the time when we're talking about like where you can find our show, right? And you're like, you should definitely go to YouTube and see us because we're animated. And the one thing that really bothers me is not so much how I sound, but like my face, my facial expressions.
I love them. Oh my gosh,
That's
you
the best
can
part
say
of
the nicest things. Go, Russell.
That's the best part of her. That's the best part of you is your facial expressions, because neither one of you have good poker faces. And if people will watch this show, they will be able to tell what you're really thinking while you're lying by what you say.
You guys.
And so
oh
that's
my
one
gosh.
of the great things. And I'm glad you brought that up, Fern. We need to thank the people that are listening to us on the podcast.
Yes.
Most people listen to us on the podcast, rated top 10. And we're very humbled by that. Amy, where can people find us on the podcast? And I had this question this week. Where can you find us? I was like, you can find us anywhere. How do they specifically get to us on one of these podcast channels, Amy?
So you can listen to us anywhere you can find a podcast. Amazon Music, Spotify, Good Pods, Apple, Google, anywhere. And what you're going to do is you're going to go to the search bar and you're going to type in Author Talk, capital A, capital T, and you have to look for our branding. So there's several different ones, different variations of it. Ours is going to have our new branding, which is red and gold and just sleekness, if I must say so myself. So that's how you're going to find us, and it will have everything. If you go to YouTube, where it's Author Talks on there, it has our branding and the little profile photo. It took me a minute to think of that word. And then if you want to listen to every episode or season that we've had, because we're technically on season 8, we don't take Mondays off. You guys, we just love this. But it is our 8th year.
If we were going to take a Monday off, this would have been it.
It definitely, yes, it definitely would have been this Monday. But you guys know I find comfort in you guys. I find comfort in my Monday night and Wednesday morning. You guys are very much like my family. So this is very comforting and soothing for me. So I thoroughly enjoy this. But you can find all episodes from 8 years in our playlist. It's like over 200. I think it's almost at 300 episodes that you can go and watch and see how we have gotten better over the years in our facial expressions and how Russell and Sandy slowly got me to how I am in doing this today. So it's a fun progression to kind of see.
One of the things that I've always found interesting is Amy on the show Author Talk has evolved as a character, much like you as writers. Fern, one of the great things about writing, and this is true in the Ted Lasso show too, if any of our viewers have watched it, is the characters evolve. And it's a challenge as a writer to have your character change and evolve in an organic manner over time. And Amy, you have actually done it on this show, from the shy, I don't want to be on the show, to who you are now. And it's been a slow evolution. And they can go back and watch the shows and see 8 years ago, there was no Amy. And 7 years ago, there was a reluctant Amy that would jump in and then jump back out until you just kind of evolved into the show.
Into the heart of the show, really. Because, you bring all the energy. Because the one time you weren't here to start us off and bring us energy, and we relied on Russell's energy. That was a whole different show entirely. Not that I'm complaining, Russell, you did great. I'm just saying.
I did terrible. That's a perfect example of Fern's face and her voice telling two different stories. And this is why it's fun sometimes to watch the show, not just listen to it. Because while I was trying to do the intro to the show, Fern was shaking her head and saying, "Oh, this is so good." And she was shaking her head because it was so bad. And I knew it was bad.
I didn't have any papers to throw at you. I didn't have any papers to throw at you.
It had like a somber intro, you know, like
it was very somber.
Like, hey, how are we doing? I liked it.
It was not our regular Puppies and Rainbow intro because you were MIA for that. So yeah.
You guys are so sweet. I appreciate it, and I love you guys dearly.
I'm
you
not
guys are
that
very
sweet, trust me.
Very kind. I know, Russell. Me and you were very.
That was pointed out to me last night by someone very important to me.
Oh,
right.
Wow.
I could be sweeter than I am.
And you wouldn't be you.
I feel like we all can be sweeter at moments, but there are some moments that people call us because we can get things done. You know what I'm saying? So it's a benefit, Russell, of being someone like me and you. But yes, our facial expressions are fun. Maybe that's why I don't like going back and rewatching it, is because of those.
And so when Josh decided that even though you said you didn't want to listen to it, he pushed the button so you would listen to it anyway. You didn't think he was very sweet at that moment.
No, I mean, okay, so flex those muscles. Yes. The best way to describe it is Josh is my biggest fan and my biggest critic at the same time. And I love that because he's the one person I feel will always be 100% honest. So if it sucked, he would have been like, well, this is how you should improve going forward. But it was good, and I can tell by the way he says that. And so I don't like him listening to my stuff. So he doesn't watch anything that I'm on.
Yeah, you don't want him to listen to it because he's going to tell you what you did wrong.
Exactly. Which is why I don't want him to listen to it.
And
like
you can't fix it anymore.
I can't
watch
it.
It's good to have. Yeah, it's good to have that person in your life that you're like, you can trust. They're going to tell you the truth, and even if you don't like it, because those people, I mean, sometimes they annoy the hell out of you, but they're useful and they're important. And actually, I was having this conversation with Josh at our cigar date yesterday. We were talking about how people like Putin, for example, have surrounded themselves with just people that will tell them whatever they want to hear. And isn't going to contradict them. And now they're basing their decision making on information that is not even accurate because nobody will tell them the truth. Like that's one of the things that happened with Hitler. They were telling Hitler, he would say like move such and such division to wherever. That division didn't even exist anymore. Nobody was telling him because they were just there to say yes to whatever he wanted. And that's just a terrible thing in any position, especially in leadership. You need people who can say, okay, I know you're not going to like this, but here's the truth. Here's a little something for you to ponder. You need those people. And so, yeah. So Josh it's nice to have that in your husband. Now, sometimes, I think Josh gets threatened with death on a regular ongoing basis.
No.
Josh hasn't gotten threatened yet, but the relationship is still
okay, that's a lie. He has been threatened. They've been married. They have like 15 kids. So I know there's been the situation where he's been threatened.
Oh, with his ex-wife? Oh, I'm sure she's thought of killing him on more than one occasion. Yeah.
There's no ex-wife.
She's talking about her Josh.
I'm talking about my Josh. I'm talking about my Josh. My Josh hasn't gotten.
My Josh gets threatened on the daily, and I've made it where I'm just like, what?
You're 15 kids. You're 15 kids.
I don't. I have 2, but we're 2, 15, same thing. We're close in numbers. No, it's not necessarily that I've threatened him every day, but it's more like I'm like, a slap from me to you would cure, world peace. Okay? It would. It fixes everything. Russell, you're muted.
That's what Greg said. Like, he gets slapped into the future. That's awesome.
Russell, what were you saying?
I've got a story for you. This is true. So
Okay.
when my youngest son was 14 years old, he actually asked me, he said, Dad, are all husbands afraid of their wives? And I said, only the ones that stay married. And that's true. And he was like, oh.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
It's true.
It is true.
Oh,
it's very true.
Man, yes, it is. But
so I do have to ask you a question, Amy. What was the special interview and where can people find it of this author that you interviewed this weekend? Because you kind of told the rough stuff about it, but you never came to the actual story about it.
Oh, okay. So I had the honor of interviewing multiple New York Times bestseller Tosca Lee for the event called the Book Fest, which is one of the biggest book online virtual events for authors. And there was a bunch of people involved in it. The IPBA was a sponsor of it. And you know me with new people, it's just awkward.
What's the IPBA? What usually is
the International Publishing Association.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I had to make sure I knew it. I knew the acronym. I need to make sure I knew what it stood for. 5 kids and a husband that is annoyingly honest and my biggest fan. It is a strange dynamic. Oh, Kristen, I love that. Oh, I love that. Yes, we all need that for sure. You can find it on Google. I'll post the link. Try not to be too critical. Russell, try not to be too critical, okay? No, not you at all. No.
Never.
No. But there are other amazing interviews. Jonathan Mayberry was on. Danny Trujillo is on. I'm really bad at saying his last name. I try. A for effort for me. He was a guest also doing presentations and stuff. So I will share the link. It was 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. I'll share the link to their YouTube channel so you guys can go and watch it if you want to. I was the first interview on day 1. So yeah, fun time.
Yeah, that definitely added to the stress. Being the first.
Yeah. Fun times. But it's called a conversation with Tosca Lee, and it really was just a conversation. You guys know me. I can't be structured with a bunch of questions. I don't know what's going on with my dogs at the moment, but I can't be structured with a lot of questions. I got a rabbit hole. You know what I'm saying? So it's more like a rabbit hole conversation, getting to know her as the author and that pivotal moment when she became a New York Times bestseller, and the support and encouragement that she had, like from her dad and others that have kind of molded and shaped her into the successful author that she is. She has some tips and stuff on different writing techniques and things like that to kind of do. So it was a really awesome, fun 45-minute interview. I had a great conversation. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. I had to suffer through listening to myself, but I found it to be a really good conversation at the end of the day. So did Josh, amongst other things, but I'm going to say it was a good conversation.
Well, did he have compliments or did he have suggestions?
No, he had compliments. I didn't get any suggestions this time. So that's why I said it was a good conversation, because he told me it was. So that's how we went with it. You know, that's how we roll, for sure. But Russell, what is next for you? How's your book journey coming? Are we going to have a book from you this year?
We're going to have 2 books from me this year. Fern and I are having some issues because she's like, we're ready. And I'm like, but I'm in Savannah.
We're ready to move forward and to reboot Murder for Me, for people to fall in love with Marilyn again. And then we are in the process of being ready later this year to see her second appearance.
I'm very excited about this next book.
Yeah.
This next book was a writer's epiphany for me, because it was with Fern's help, and I've always given Fern credit for it. The second book is 3 times the first book. I mean, as far as character development, as far as depth, I mean, it came a long way. And my challenge in the next book, which is Murder by Storm, uh, my challenge, because I didn't do this in the first book, was to write from a woman's point of view. Mm-hmm. To be frank with you, I was afraid of that the first time. I didn't think that I could do it authentically, but with a great deal of editing and arguing and struggling and
paper throwing.
Yeah. But that was because you were trying to help me, and I knew it when you were doing it. I'm very proud of that book, and I'm very proud that I'm very excited about people getting to read it, because I really philosophically believe that if you're going to write, this is important for the people that listen to us that want to be writers, or they're writing but they haven't been published. For me, it was very important to be published. I try to explain it comically by saying I need to expose myself so people know what stupid stuff I think, or how stupid I am. The point is, you've got to put yourself out there and expose yourself. That's philosophically how I believe you take the final step as a writer to be published. And you can publish yourself through Amazon. One of my good friends that has been on the show, Nick, has now published 4 books. We interviewed him on one book. He has 3 more books out, and they were all done independently on Amazon. He doesn't even promote. Because,
well, you know what I'm really excited about, actually bringing Murder for Me back out, because we actually have gone through that book and added material that, you know, really needed to be there. Because like I was, one of my favorite scenes now is that first time that OC meets Marilyn, and we didn't get that the first time that you put the book out. You know, we that first initial conversation between those two characters, it's such a powerful and scene now in that book.
I think it's the best scene in the book now. It's the new scene, it's the new chapter that you demanded that I write to put in the book. That was actually, the first version of it was edited out the first time, and I rewrote it. And I rewrote it with the context of what happened in the second book. So it's a multi-layered confrontation of, not only do you read what they say, but there's context within everything. Every line in the chapter has multi-layered context of both what they're thinking and where they're going. And so I actually really love the chapter. It's my favorite chapter in the book now.
Yeah, I thought it was great. And, you know, the benefit of having written it after you already had book 2 is that you could add so much depth of foreshadowing into it that is there now. And I think, you know, and as an author, there is this question sometimes of like, you know, if you've already published book 1, sometimes there's things in book 1 that you wish you could put in after you've written the next one, you know. So I like that we had that opportunity to add that dynamic to the Murder for Me.
And, you know, it's like you and I have talked about, because now I'm working on the 3rd book, Murder by Trouble.
Not fast enough.
Not fast enough. No, I've had issues.
Yeah,
and
it's okay.
Frankly, I'm over here in Atlanta, and I miss my weekly cigar confrontations with Fern, because all during Murder by Storm, we would weekly have a cigar at a cigar bar over by ourselves, go through the chapter, and frankly confront each other on it. And it was one of the highlights of my week. I love that.
I like how he labeled it as a weekly confrontation. That's what, not a weekly get together. It was a weekly confrontation that Russell really looked forward to. I like it. I
loved it. It was loved it because Fern's not only a very close friend, but as an editor, she may not be honest as I'm crumbling an introduction to author talk and smile and just try to say it's smart while she's shaking her head no. But as an editor, she's brilliant and frank. And when you're struggling for a new intellectual challenge in a new book, you need frankness. Fern and I disagree about writers groups. Fern thinks they're great. I'm not a real fan of writers groups because I don't think you always get competent frankness from other people. But I think what?
I honestly think it depends on the group because I have been to groups where all they do is sort of pat everybody on the back. This is lovely. This is wonderful. It was awesome. And there's no growth. You're not going to go anywhere if you're there. And then I've also been to groups that felt that they needed to rip you apart and make you cry before, it was successful, which is no, you're not there to do that, to make yourself feel better by tearing someone else down. You're there to help each other as colleagues and to give each other suggestions. And, it really does depend on the group. I feel like, you have to find the right set of people.
Yeah.
And also, I remember a story you told, Fern, once, where someone was reading your first book, which got a 5-star rating on Doctor Who. So I wanted to, I always like to interject that. But when they were reading it, they had a problem with one of the parts of it, which was it was irrelevant. It was aggravating. It was non-helpful. And I remember you telling me that story, and I turned right back on you, which I could tell in your face you knew I was about to. See, that's why they're no good. So,
that is the problem with some groups. Because, like, in that instance, I think you're referring to the one that told me that a world that had that much technology would not have religion anymore, wouldn't believe in God anymore. Well, that's a very personal opinion, and I just don't see that. I don't care how technological our world is. I feel like we're still going to, as human beings, need that connection to our higher power. So, but yeah, that was, and so I was, and he was just like, oh, I'm not going to be able to give you any critique because this is just stupid. Well, thank you very much. Oh, but that was also the guy who decided he was going to start giving grades and put like A- and blah, blah. It was like, you're not a professor here. Who hired you to be a professor here? No, get away.
And, the most paradoxical thing about that was what I consider the greatest of all science fiction in the modern era, which is Dune, because all of the science fiction that came after it was either partially or completely based upon it or the inspiration of it. Religion is deep in that book.
Yeah, I really do. I mean, I think it's interesting the people who think that we're going to get to a point where religion's not going to be important, but I just disagree. And in the end of the day, to be able to say to an author, I'm not going to give you feedback because I don't like what you wrote, is not acceptable.
Okay, as writers, this is even more important. When you're building a multi-layered character, and you're trying to build a character or a world that has depth to it, religion is something that is a tool that should not be ignored. And I've actually been hypercritical of some of my writings of what I'm working on now. Is I decided that I was avoiding that tool, and instead of avoiding it, I needed to embrace it and use it to create more interesting characters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I actually had conflict built in on that subject too, because you can never have enough conflict. I love conflict in a book.
Yeah. No, conflict is definitely the heart of the story. That's for sure.
And in fact, that in Murder by Storm that's coming out. When I first wrote that, I was in about chapter 8 or chapter 9, and I decided, there's just not enough conflict here. And this was right after Harvey, by the way, Amy.
Okay.
And I decided, I'm going to put this story and I'm going to put it inside a hurricane and write about everything that we experienced as Houstonians during the hurricane, so I won't forget any of it. And so my whole story, the whole book, happens during a hurricane. That created extra conflict.
That did. And it creates great drama, because then you have this murder situation, this crime situation going on, and it's in the middle of a natural disaster. And nature is awesome for adding that level.
And it's a really good way of getting rid of DNA in a crime scene.
Yes. It'll wash away.
Okay, yes.
These are things that you have to think about when you're writing a book. Okay,
well,
I'm get rid of DNA.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, now don't get me wrong. I watch enough crime shows, like First 48, all of these. I get it from my mama. Okay. I watch plenty of these that I feel like I could totally do that. But I feel like at the same time, those things are unrealistic, I guess, in my mind, like bleaching stuff. I don't know. But yeah, okay.
Before we go, Amy, I got to tell one more story.
Go for it.
One more story. And this is about on the same context of where we are now. And Fern's already heard this story. So I used to live in One Park Place, downtown, 5-star high rise in Houston. Loved it. You guys have both been there. It's a great place. It has the sexiest pool in town. Beautiful. And the manager was always worried because I made the comment several times that I was going to have a murder take place in the building. She's like, what? But we have all this security. I was like, no, I've spent enough time here. I figured out how to circumvent all your security. What? Will you show me? So I freaked out people all the time. It's a part of, if you write crime or trial, it's things you think about.
Mm-hmm. You really do. Everywhere you go, you start thinking about how you could integrate things and people and characters.
I actually really like that idea, though, because that they have with Martin Sheen, Selena Gomez, and who's that other guy? The Murder in the Building, and it takes place in the building that they live in, and it's all these murders, and they start a whole podcast about how they're going to solve this murder, right? And I love the show, but I'm a huge Martin Shear, Selena Gomez, and for the life of me, I can't think of the other guy's name.
What's the name of this show you're talking about?
Murders in the Building. And who's the guy that was in Father of the Bride? Played the father. I can't think of his name. Who's in Cheaper by the Dozen?
Steve Martin?
No, I don't. No, I don't think so. Anyways, Martin Shear and him are back together. They started together. Is it Steve Martin? I don't think it is, but we're gonna go with it, Russell. We're gonna say that just for the sake of it, because I don't remember. But I do know that the plot that you were just talking about, how murder takes place in a place where you live, is the plot of this TV show that's on Hulu, and it's amazing. But they start a podcast after. There's celebrities, former celebrities live in retirement. They live in this home are this, high rise kind of thing. And they start a podcast trying to kind of reinvent themselves. They're going to solve the murders. And then all these murders keep happening in the building. So it's fabulous. I highly recommend it. But it's very much the thought that you had, which is why I was like, oh my gosh, you should have totally done that. I would have loved it. I would have loved it for sure. Man, you guys, the time goes by so fast when it's especially just the three of us and just having a coffee chat conversation, which I love, and it's much needed. You guys are like a breath of fresh air for me, especially this week. So without further ado, I know we're out of time and I don't want my looks from Russell. So I'm going to let you guys do closing comments, statements, anything like that before I close this out.
Who's first? Okay. Fern, I will try to start writing quick, fast.
Yes. That works for me because I'm excited. I'm just excited to get a Murder for Me back out there with these new pieces in it, and then to move the story forward, because I think we have been away from Maryland for too long.
You have. I live with Maryland. That's as you know, if characters live with you.
Yes. They do. They live in your head forever.
They talk to you in your sleep. I remember when I was writing the first book, when Marilyn, I dreamed about Marilyn one night, and she had a different name, and she told me that's not my name. It's Marilyn. And when I woke up the next morning, I told my wife about the dream. She said, "Don't tell me stuff like that. You're freaking me out."
I love Melinda. I love her. She's amazing. Fern, what about you?
No, nothing much. I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited for what's coming up next in our lives, and I'm excited to enjoy conversations with you guys. And yeah, I mean, life is good. It's crazy, busy, and overwhelming sometimes, but it's good.
I love it. Well, you guys, we hope you all have a fantastic Monday, a great rest of your week. Happy April, everybody. Happy April. I can't believe this year's going by so fast. But until next Monday.